Welcome to The Wrap. I'm Diane King Hall. Let's take a look at this week's market action. A relatively flat week for the major indexes as investors await further clarity on ongoing geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and got an unchanged rate from this week's FOMC meeting. The S&P 500 finished a little more than 0.1% lower. The Dow was flat. Meanwhile, the Nasdaq 100 fell 0.2%, while the Russell 2000 eked out a slight gain of 0.4%. Turning to some of this week's top stories, escalating hostilities between Iran and Israel remains a central focus for markets. Investors and traders hang on every update coming from the White House and the region. On Thursday, President Trump said he would decide whether or not to strike Iran within 2 weeks. The president said he wanted to allow, quote, a substantial chance of negotiations. The uncertainty has put oil in focus. Crude oil prices rose about 1% on the week as traders weigh the risk of supply disruptions. Meantime, the FOMC kept rates steady, with the central bank's dot plot indicating the possibility of 2 rate cuts in the months ahead. Fed Chair Jerome Powell echoed similar commentary about inflation unknowns due to tariff uncertainty. But on Friday, Fed Governor Christopher Waller said in a CNBC interview the Fed could cut rates, quote, as early as July. The Fed chair will testify before Congress on Tuesday. Digital asset stocks like Coinbase and Circle were among some of this week's biggest gainers after the U.S. Senate passed the Genius Act, clearing a pathway to further stablecoin adoption. Shares of Circle rallied some 80% this week and have soared more than 150% since its IPO debut. And while stablecoin-related stocks rose this week, Bitcoin stocks took a hit. The strategy down 3.4% as Bitcoin futures fell about 2%. Over in the tech sector, Taiwan Semi was on track for a positive week heading into Friday's trading session, but reports that the U.S. plans to revoke China waivers for global chip makers like TSMC and Samsung sent shares the other way. Elsewhere in the semiconductor space, AMD rallied 10% this week. The company gained ground on positive analyst commentary surrounding its latest AI chip developments. Let's look at what to watch for the coming week. It's a relatively light earnings week. FedEx, Micron, and Nike among the notable names reporting. On the economic front, Tuesday brings the latest consumer confidence data, and Friday's PCE report will be closely watched. Plus, we'll have plenty of reaction to Sunday's upcoming robo-taxi event. Tune in Monday for our coverage. That'll do it for The Wrap. I'm Diane King Hall. Remember, you can find more market news 24/7 on SchwabNetwork.com.